Hi everybody, welcome to the channel for new battle report. So this time another test with Ogre. I wanted to try a slightly different list. We are approaching to the list due for WTC, so I wanted to try out something a bit different to see what I'm going to bring to WTC at the end of April. I was facing Toby Thompson, who contacted me and he played Emperor of Sonnstahl. Really happy to get some training against Empire because it's not an army that I play a lot against. So definitely some good learnings to make from the matchup for me. So definitely very interesting game. My list is the following. Sorry, it's a bit blurry. I had a Master Thaumaturgy with Binding Scroll, then an Apprentice Shamanism who has the Ligatong, Great Khan Kagadai, who is going to be mainly in a unit of 8 tribesmen. Then I have my Khan Shuti, Khan BSB, 9 Bruisers with the Swift Strike banner. So I decided to go for 2 blocks in core and then to put the chaff in special with 2 lone Saber-Tooth Tiger. Then I had the unit of Shooty Mercvets, the 3 Tusker Cav with Pet Weapon Musician, Frosty Slave Giant. So this is the list. My opponent was playing the following list. He had 2 mages, a Master Divination and Wizard Adept Alchemy on Arcane Shield, which is really good. It's the one giving distracting to his units, which is definitely something interesting against me that I have pretty low weapon skill, offensive skill basically. Then he has a big unit of Albardiers, 2 support unit of 20 guys, total of 28 crossbow split into units, 2 unit of 6 Knight of the Sun Griffin with Standard Barrel Musician and Lance, 5 Raiders, 2 Mortar, a Steam Tank and some small unit of Flagellant. So quite interesting, basically 3 main combat threats, or 4 we could say with the tank. So tank, 2 times Sun Griffin, big unit of Albert, then plenty of shooting, tank, mortar, crossbow, good range damage magic. So an interesting list, solid, that zone pretty well and can do a lot from range. We played all the ground on Dawn Assault randomly, so definitely going to be an open matchup where both of us we need to move forward to win secondary basically, and below you have the spell selection of both players. So here he has a strong list from range with good zoning pieces. I know that getting the first turn will be huge in the matchup. I will want to attack no matter what. I'm pretty sure to lose from distance. It's always one of the key questions you need to ask yourself at the beginning of the battle. Who is winning from range? And who is stronger in close combat? Basically, this is the 2 main questions. And in this case, he's definitely stronger from distance. And I should be a bit better in combat. So definitely I will try to attack. And also, since we play all the ground, I know that if I attack, I should have an advantage on all the ground. Arcane Shield make really hard for me to attack his battle line because I will be eating more stuff on 5-up, which is not so easy. Estimation, quite unstable. I think it's usually what you say when you need to rush somebody who... you need to attack somebody who has a shooty list. I mean, it could work or it couldn't work, but in my attempt to do it, I should be winning secondary, which is already a good, like a buffer, or I have some margin in the amount of point that I can lose in the process, basically due to secondary that should be in my favor. Deployment. So I won the roll for side. Unfortunately, I just decided to split it that way. Basically, I felt the impossible is more annoying for him, and basically I didn't want him wall where he could hide behind. I felt this could be too annoying for me, so basically I took this part of the map. And then he dropped for first turn. This wasn't a surprise. He puts the Sun Griffins here, the tank, and then the Albardiers. So the 3 main scoring unit facing the middle, which makes totally sense. Bunker in the back, Flagellant here, crossbow, support unit, Raiders, the 2 mortars in the back, BSB, General, the mage here, Master Mage, and the Adept Mage here. My counter deployment, so I did the following. I wanted to put some distance between my basically most sensitive unit, which is the Mercvets. So I put the Mercvets here with, I think, the BSB plus a Mage. In here, the Thaumaturgy Mage. Then I put here the Bruiser block with the Shamanism guy with the Ligatong. And here I have the Kagadai within the Tribesman unit. Frost Mammoth, Giant, Lone Tiger, and the 3 Tuskers on the far left. I debated a little bit during deployment whether or not I should minimize his range damage turn 1, but that would have meant putting most of my unit, basically it's 30 inch away, so it's like up to the way here more or less. So I felt I would lose too much ground on this right part of the deployment, meaning it can freely push the big halberdier block towards here, and I felt this could be then really hard for me to handle. So I took the risk to not minimize, basically get hurt from his range damage, but in exchange of that, getting a good zoning and then be able to progress quicker forward, basically. We'll see if that was the right choice. His turn 1, he pushed a bit forward, but not too much. He respected my charge range of most of my unit. In the magic phase, he got Fate Judgment on my giant, did 2 wounds. Big Fate on 3 dice. Then he got Quicksilver Lash, did 1 wound on my Frost Mammoth. And with shooting, he did another 4 wounds to the giant. So the giant is down to 1 wound, which is annoying. The mortar hit 1 time and didn't hit the second one on 5 up and kill one of the Merc Vets. My turn 1, so I start to move forward, but I cannot push too much since I'm still need to be careful about his charges. So I decide to jump my chaff behind the hill and then be able to chaff out and push forward the next round. So I took the wall, I'd be patient one more round and then we'll see next round. This time I try to minimize what he might do from shooting, so I use the giant to move all the way here to force him to move, hide the Frosty for the moment. I prepare another piece of chaff for next round to do the same, and I start pushing forward with the Tuskers. I couldn't push more because he could see me and get a charge here on the left. In the magic phase, I got Chilling Hole on the crossbows. Then on 4 dice, it was the big card. I got a Wrath of God in the middle of this line, but I miscast number 6, so I lost 2 wounds on my Shaman, which is scary, but I got a comment off. I think it's more interesting for me to target the middle unit that I want to reduce the numbers instead of something more to the right or even the mortars. I think prefer to basically reduce his combat power and yeah, take wounds. The Merc Vets did only 1 wound to the Sun Griffin, and that's the end of my turn 1. His turn 2 didn't move much. As you can see, he pushed a bit on the free flank and didn't move much on the center, continued to shoot me. The Wrath of God, as you can see, is right here. In a magic phase, he did the Fate Judgment, did 3 wounds to my bruises. And then he shot me with the Ratus on 6 up on the giant, but didn't do anything. Meaning I have a giant on 1 wound that could cause a terror check on the 7, which is quite interesting for me. Let's move on to my turn 2. So I took the charge, but unfortunately he passes the terror check on 7, and with stand and shoot, kill my giant. I knew it could happen. I felt it's still interesting. I decide to form a big Death Star with the Bruisers to be able to push forward. So I use 1 piece of chaff on this unit, and then I'm able to push a bit the Mercs, but still quite far away from him, but push more the Bruisers, and I put the Kagadai into the unit. So I felt I can take now this combat. Those guys are able to push and threaten the Flagellant, and what I like with this chaff, I was able to frenzy bait him to charge me in the rear, which I felt is quite interesting because it can cause a bit of traffic jam and then get opportunities for the Tusker to countercharge and get points. Those guys, basically Triceman, I felt this is only infantry, so I can use them to zone him a bit more and basically slow down his progress from his strong flank. In a magic phase, I got Trial of Face on the tank, did 1 wound. Then I got +1 resilience on my main block. He dispelled Chilling Hole, 2 dice against 2. And then the Wrath of God came down, hit all 3 units, didn't do so much, couple of wounds here and there. Merc Vets did a lot of work on them, but he passes 4 out of 5 armor save on 4 up. So basically I didn't do much, I did only 1 wound, and I took a first point of all the ground because I put the Bruiser unit within 6. So this is 1-0. His turn to 3, I decided to back off from my threats, because he respects my big Death Star, so he moves away. He failed the frenzy on those guys. They needed to charge a dog, which is nice, so they were out of the bubble, which is 8 maximize, I guess, and they had to charge me in the back, which is nice. I moved the rest a bit back, as you can see, and he pushed a bit more on the strong flank, more or less. In the magic phase, he got an Earring Strike, did 2 wounds to my Bruisers. Quicksilver Lash did 3 wounds to my Frost Mammoth, which is huge. And with the shooting, he did 4 wounds to my Triceman. So he continued to do huge damage from distance. And then he hit 2 times with the mortar and did a total of 6 wounds to the Merc Vets. So yeah, that's a lot of wounds to take this round. He did a lot of job from distance. So definitely that's why also he's waiting to do even more damage and basically making it harder for me to rush. Close combat, he did only 1 wound to me with 6 attack. I didn't do anything, I fled. And he failed the restraint check on maximize, so he pursued that way, but I managed to escape, which is really, really nice. My turn 3, and now I had a very good opportunity with his charge here on 11 Swift Stride, and I failed. If I make it, that's game over. Overrun into the bunker, that's the end of the game. So I tried it, and I felt I could use the second piece of chaff to chaff them, so the counter charge basically is only Sun Griffin tank. I should be fine with the Kagadai and Bruises, so I took that charge, but I failed the 11 Swift Stride. I decided not to use Leadership of General in BSB to rally him, because I felt if I rally right here, he can charge, overrun, get into some raid stuff, which I didn't like. So I felt I might rather continue to flee, so I fled even more. I used the second piece of chaff to chaff here, and in the meantime I charged with the Tuskers onto the back of the Flagellant to get rid of them, and then I could reform safely without getting charged. So I felt this is nice. I move forward with the Murkrats. Calculate that with the aura of the Frost Mammoth I should be fine, and I just took out the mage to have some good ranges and not get into combat too quickly. Move those guys move those guys into the ring to get into hard cover. So as you can see now, I really started to push basically, and I'm going to take a second point for Old Ground. In Magic Phase I put +1 resilience onto them and Savage Fury onto the Murkrats. And what happened, I killed all those guys, and he failed the panic check on them, on minimize, but non-rerollable because the BSB is right here, as you can see. But yeah, we decided to basically say that he could have put the BSB the other way around and get the reroll and basically save them. So I let him reroll to put them back on the map, because that would have been huge. Them fleeing off the board, this is then huge. Control for me has nothing else to really stop me properly, so I think this was more interesting for the game. So they passed the second check basically, and I just reformed those guys. His turn 4. He took the charge against my chaff and took the charge of the Griffin against them. And here, I made a stupid mistake. I made the simulation. That's something on the table you would say to your opponent, please can you show me how the Sun Griffin can maximize the charge on them, and he would have done it properly. Instead on Warhall I just duplicate the units, move them to maximize, and I didn't check that by doing that I went slightly over that unit, meaning they cannot wheel at that point of time. So basically the maximization is more to the left than what I expected, and now I'm out of the aura of the Frost Mammoth, which is definitely stupid and not something I would have liked to. Unfortunately for me, I realized that after declaring stand and shoot, so I couldn't flee anymore, and it was a charge on a 10 Swift Stride, which he makes. So I'm really punished for this stupid mistake. That shouldn't have happened. He moved the tank forward to block my bruisers. He charged with the Sun Griffin against the dog, and then he redirected the charge onto them basically. So the dog fled, but not far, which is blocking my Frost Mammoth, which is also a bit annoying, and he basically makes it in a way that now I cannot fit with the bruisers against the Halberdier, which is nice for him. In the Magic Phase, he got a Binding Scroll reroll to hit for this combat. He failed +1 armor save on 2 dice, and then he got Quicksilver Lash on the Tuskers, did 2 wounds. Shooting, he did 1 wound to my Frosty, and then the cannon hit and killed my Frost Mammoth. So yeah, that's also bad for me. He did 3 wounds to the Tribesman with shooting, and the mortar didn't hit this time. Close combat, to my surprise, he did 5 wounds to me. Yeah, he hasn't so many attack. I mean, it's only 6 attack from the Beast on 4 up, 3 up. He had no buffs on. And then 3 attack from the Riders, so it's not that much. With that he did 5 wounds, and I did 5 wounds back. So basically I was striking back with 11 attack from the Murkrats plus 5 attacks from the BSB under Savage Fury, and with that I did also 5 wounds. So I think it was either a tie or lost by 1, and I stick. So much better than I expected. My turn. So after killing the dog, he reformed in a way to put the Tuskers in the front. And yeah, I couldn't charge with the Tuskers against them because the way they were reformed. So I charged here, and I decided to try something to get max point. I sent the Kagadai alone, turn around the Bruisers to block the tank and score the 3rd point of the middle because he's too far with the Halberdiers. So it's going to be 3-0, meaning I'm going to win secondary. I tried charge on a 6 with the Tribesman onto them, but I failed that charge, which is very annoying. And then I rallied the dog and positioned him in the way to chaff the Halberdiers, and basically cannot overrun into any of my other unit. Shaman move out of the way, pass the mark check. And here we in combat. In the magic phase, I try random smite the unbeliever onto the combat, but he dispel with 2 dice against 2, and then I try +1 strength on the Tuskers on 4 dice, and with 3 dice he dispel it as well. Very annoying. So, and then I try Savage Fury on 1 dice, but I fail it. So basically I have no buffs. Maybe I should have done smite 3 dice +1 strength 4 dice. At least I would have got smite. Yeah, very annoying to get no buffs into this combat. Didn't make the best decision. Close combat, I kill some, but he's steadfast. He has exactly 3 model left. Meaning he's steadfast, passes the steadfast check, and I block the steam tank this way, but not now anymore, because he can move through the gap since this model died. And here this time he did 4 wounds to me. I did only 1 wound back. He's going before me. With the 2 model left, I had like 11 attack. I did only 1 wound. I lose by 3. It's a 6 rerollable. I fail the break check, and I flee, and he catch me. So yeah, he rolled a big 11, ended up here. So I lost the Merc unit due to this stupid mistake from me. What I should have done this turn, I think, was the best decision would have been to charge the Bruiser Death Star into the dummy Griff. I think they are almost, if not dead, they flee on something like 1 model or something. So I should do a lot on them. Just not charge with the Tusker, but reform and turn around that way. Meaning if he breaks me, he needs to think twice if he wants to overrun or not. And if he doesn't, basically if he doesn't pursue me, I'm going to rally the BSB. So I felt, because BSB alone is on 9 rollable. So I felt here, or 8 rollable at least. But I could have proposed him something more complicated for him. I think it was the wrong decision to send the Great Khan alone, and also risky for the Great Khan himself. His turn 5, he charged with the tank into my flank, going to be scary. Chaff me, charge the chaff, chaff me again, move the Raiders to shoot me, and move all the characters out of the bunker basically to get into position. Turn around to threaten my mage. In the magic phase, he got, the tank was a charge maximized 2 dice on 8, basically. He got Glory of Gold on the Sand Griffin. He got also, I dispel reroll to hit, but he got also +1 strength. So this was also one of the reasons why I should have charged and get rid of this combat in one go, because now he can buff himself, and that's really scary for me. He did 2 wounds to the Great Khan, I guess, and I managed to one-shot the steam tank, hitting on 2+, wounding on 3 up. He has then a 5 up, and then I roll D3 wound, and I kill him straight, which is huge, obviously. He killed my 2 Tuskers, so 6 wounds to the Tuskers, boom, dead. And we stick. We managed to tie combat, I guess. Yeah, I think tie combat. And here he just killed the dog. My turn 5. Here we stuck in combat. I move my mage, failed the march check, but managed here to be unchargeable. And now that I won the center, I don't want to engage them, so I just move out of the way with the bruisers. And I took my mage out. This is a small mage shamanism. Try to get some points. I felt this is worth it. It's not worth a lot of points. And this time I managed, yeah, finally to charge. It's an automatic one with the trident. In the magic phase, I failed Savage Fury on 3 dice onto the Great Khan, which is annoying. He dispel +1 resilience. And I failed the comet, so it's the second combat phase where I have 0 buff on myself, which is really annoying. In close combat, I kill 5 wounds of him. He did 2 wounds to me, so I have 1 wound left. He lost by 3. It's check on -3, -2, and he passes the check. So we're still stuck in combat. And those guys, he was steadfast due to the parent unit. He killed 1 model of mine, I killed some of his. And I make basically the counter charge from them impossible. No, I'm still full, but I didn't reform to avoid getting charged in the flank by all these ranks. Turn around the halberdiers, basically move around to get rid of my mage, move away with this guy, and here we're stuck in combat. In the magic phase, this time he got an Earring Strike, roll a big roll. It's a small unerring onto my mage, roll double 6 and one-shot the shaman, so I'm punished for that attempt. Mortars hit 2 times, and then some crossbow more. I have only 2 bruises left. He took half point, but luckily at least I passed the panic check. And the Great Khan, I passes this time 2 ward save. I didn't ward save a lot before, but this time I passed 2 ward save, and then I kill him. So this was huge. And then my turn 6, and yeah, here I got rid of those guys. My turn 6, I charged the Raiders, and here I didn't attempt any charge. I was afraid I might just lose a Great Khan on 1 wound. I felt I was lucky enough to survive until now. Let's not attempt something too crazy here. And as you can see, was able to move just out of the way of most charges. So basically it was, yeah, I don't know if I could have tried maybe a long charge here. I don't know if it was possible. Maybe force a flea move. I could have maybe done something. I see it right now that I could have pivot that way. I don't know. I'm on 1 rule left, so it's hard to say. I don't know which character is here, but I could have maybe attempt some long charges here. Would have maybe worth it against BSB or something. But I didn't see it at the end of the combat. What happened? I lost 9 to 11, lost a lot of points, but I took secondary, lost the BSB as well. And I think without the stupid mistake of the Merc Vets, I could have potentially, and also the bruisers charging. I think without, yeah, the Merc Vets, I told it already, but I think with the best choice on turn 4 to charge the whole block of bruisers into this combat of Dummy Griff, I would have saved most likely those points. I don't know about the Tuskers, but at least those guys would have been saved, and I would have been either a draw or a small win for me. I think I had chances to get more points with the Bruiser Stars, because then I should get rid of them and then turn around, can charge something else, which I didn't do this time because I went out of the angle because of the Albardiers. So I felt I could have done it better and maybe get a small win, but yeah, not the end of the world. It was really interesting to get so many combats into this training. And I think it's as well an interesting battle report. Post-game analysis, so not easy to rush a list when you don't start, but at least attacking made me start at 13. I had a good advantage on secondary objective. He could have maybe, he told me after the game, he could have tried to contest it turn 4 and maybe try to win it later on. I think it wasn't impossible at all to do that. Deployment, I exposed myself too much to shooting. I will show you after what I should have done slightly differently. Good use of chaff to advance, but at the same time I was lucky enough to have a heal, to have my cat behind the hill and then jumped out. Without the heal, it would have been much harder to chaff that way. So I felt not so easy to chaff with single cats like I experienced before. Turn 3 EOS, yeah, 2 mistakes that could have cost him the game. The first one with the BSB, second one with giving me the charge on 11 Swift Ride, and then overrun into the bunker. I think that would have been could have been easily avoided. Turn 3 Ogre, online mistake with the Merc Vets, got punished at the end. So yeah, happens. I need to be more careful last time. What I enjoy about this battle, it was a fast-paced game. I mean, a bit more than 3 hours, and it was done with a lot of combat. So it was nice, but in this particular situation, I went too quick by doing the simulation, and it's something I wouldn't have missed with actual model on table. And yeah, duplicating in 2D, and basically I didn't see it. So I should have been more careful to avoid that situation happening, which cost me a lot of points at the end. Turn 4 Ogre, sub-optimal choices, trying to get max point. Like I said, I should have charged just with the bruisers without asking myself too much questions. Once again, the Kakadai didn't disappoint. Kill the tank, kill the Dummy Rift, so huge work again from the Kakadai. Instead of the breast weapon, I should have taken Hand of Heaven to get rid of the Arcane Shield. I think this is huge in the matchup. What can do the Arcane Shield? I mean, it makes things so much harder for me in close combat. So with Hand of Heaven, maybe I can try to threaten it. EOS shooting did a lot of work. I think it was quite a good list that caused me some problems with all the shootings. You saw at the end the amount of damage they can do. I mean, it's really good, really good from range. And not an easy matchup for me, between shooting, distracting, high armor, not an easy matchup, but I still had some chances to do something good out of this game. Took some, not always the best decision, but still interesting and a lot of learnings for me from this matchup. What I should have done from deployment, I think we can discuss between Merc Vets and Bruisers, one or the other. Maybe keeping the Merc Vets here was the right decision, and it's also closer to where I would have put the Frost Mammoth. So I think maybe Merc Vets here, Bruisers here, Tribesmen here. The Tuskers, I think, are in a decent spot to threaten all these units, are not too sensitive to the shooting, and can in one turn with the movement go into the ruin. So I think I should have done that. The Giant could have been completely out and then do 14 and try to threaten the flank, which he likes to do, and the Frosty on the far left, basically. I think that would have done a better deployment. Guys, that's all for this battle report. I hope you liked it. This was an interesting game. Thanks a lot for my opponent for the battle. Would be happy to make another one soon. Always nice to fight against Empire. So I just realized when finishing the video that I forgot to check the math of this combat, and I was really eager to see what should happen if what happened was average or not, and a little bit to see the whereabouts of this combat. As a reminder, we made it 5-5, so it was his turn, he charged, he got no buffs off, I had Savage Fury on myself, he made a total of 5 wounds, as you can see, slightly above average, nothing crazy, it's not the low likelihood result, but still a little bit over average, while I roll exactly average. And as you can see, it's interesting because it was it's a dicey combat, and if he loses it, basically, which is not so unlikely if you look at both, I mean, I could have easily won it, then he's really far from BSB general, meaning test, even losing by 1, I mean, would be a test on a 7, no reroll, so it could be really, really dangerous for him to lose that combat. So interesting to see that even a mistake of myself could have resulted even in a good event for me. So it's quite interesting to see that the Mercvets were able to get a good amount of wounds in this combat, and obviously a big factor of that is him getting only 2 Sun Griffin in base contact while I had 3 models, so he didn't have max attack from the Sun Griffin, but yeah, quite interesting. And that was it for the battle report, so an interesting battle, and yeah, I will talk to you soon on the channel for another battle report. Bye bye.